What's up, everybody? It's Fredbear from the Blessed Heroes coming at you with my very first What If. What if Deku had the mochi no Mi? Or as you can see it on the screen, what if Deku was the yannko mochi? Now, before I get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to Prince Crocodile for making my intro, and then we're going to be working on a few other what ifs besides yannko mochi. With that being said, let's get into the video. Roll that intro!
They say it's fucking heinous, 'cause I'm the type of dude that you know is fucking dangerous.
Deku, the yannko mochi. Chapter 1, The Devil Fruit. It was a bright and sunny day as Inko Midori was taking her son Izuku Midori to see if he had a quirk. They had gone to the quirk doctor to see if Izuku had one, as he was 4 years old, and they wanted to know. After a few hours of testing and attempting tests on him, the doctor had walked into the room with a few papers in his hand and a sad look on his face. The doctor would have to tell them the bad news. "I am sorry, little boy, but you don't have a quirk. You're quirkless." The news was devastating to Izuku, as he got really sad and began to cry. Once they got home, Izuku went to his room and locked himself in, as he began to watch All Might videos, wondering if he could become a hero, even without a quirk. Word of Izuku being quirkless would get around, and that's when the bullying would start. Even his best friend, Bakugo, turned into the worst bully that there was for him. 2 years went by as Izuku was now 6 years old. Izuku was breathing heavily as he was hiding behind a tree in the forest, and he was crying. Bakugo and the other bullies had chased Izuku, wanting to beat him up after Izuku was protecting another kid from bullying. Izuku couldn't take the bullying anymore. Tears were going down his cheeks as he just kept on crying on how others treated him just because he doesn't have a quirk. Once Izuku had finally stopped crying, his belly began to rumble non-stop as he was hungry. Izuku began to look around until his eyes saw a strange-looking fruit on the ground. Izuku got up and walked over to it and picked it up and began to examine it. He was unsure of the fruit and was very unsure if it was even safe to eat. A quick author's note: I don't know what the canned devil fruit looks like, so I just decided to make something up. Now, back into the story. It was covered in swirls and was completely white with purple polka dots, and looked like a classic donut. The only thing that Izuku knew that it was weirdly shaped, weird colors, and was as big as his head. His belly rumbled again until he finally gave in and took a big bite out of the fruit. As he was eating it, he made a completely sour face as the fruit tasted horrible. But he kept on eating it non-stop, not wanting to waste it, as it was the only thing that he had to eat out here. Once Izuku had finished eating the fruit, he felt strange as he held his belly, as it was rumbling non-stop. He was still hungry as he looked around to see if there were any more fruits in the trees. When he saw that there were none, he just began to walk home, as the sun was going down. Once Izuku had gone home, his mother rushed over to him, hugging him tightly, and as Inko asked questions non-stop, wondering where he was. Izuku said nothing, as he just said, "I'm fine, Mom. I was just playing with Kachan, and I lost track of time." Izuku would soon sit down on the living room couch, wanting to watch TV as his mother went to the bathroom. Izuku would reach over for the remote. As he did, Izuku's right arm began to turn into a white liquid, and it stretched and grabbed the remote. Izuku was surprised as he looked at his arm, as it had soon retracted and went back to its normal color. Izuku began to freak out, moving his arms all around like crazy, trying to figure out what just happened. What was that? Was that my quirk? I have a quirk? As Izuku was freaking out on the news of him having a quirk, Izuku began to hear something inside his head, shouting out questions and demands. Where am I? Who are you? Why can't I move? What is this place? And what is a quirk? And stop screaming! The voice said questions nonstop until Izuku stopped freaking out and calmed down as he began to look around. Who said that? Deku asked the question to the strange voice in his head. "Who are you? And what are you?" Deku asked. It took a couple of seconds for the voice to reply, as it said, I am Charlotte Katakuri, a human just like you. And who are you? And where am I? The voice said to Izuku, wanting to know what is going on and where he was. Izuku replied to the voice, saying, My name is Izuku Midoriya, and we are in Japan. The voice, now known as Katakuri, then said, I have never heard of an island with that kind of name. Izuku would soon go into a small explanation on how Japan was not an island, but a country, and on how it was connected to the continent Asia. The voice, now known as Katakuri, went silent for a bit, until he soon began to ask Izuku questions in alarm. Izuku, do you know what the Grand Line is? What's the Grand Line? The voice then asked, What about the world government? There's a government for the whole world? As soon as Izuku said those words, Katakuri went silent and didn't say a word. Izuku would get a bit worried as he was wondering why the voice was completely silent, and asked, Hey, Mr. Katakuri, are you okay? Did I say something wrong? Izuku asked, but no response came from Katakuri. After a couple of minutes, Izuku's mom, Inko, would come back from the bathroom and said, Izuku, it's time for dinner, and after that, it's bedtime. It's a school night. Okay, Mom, Izuku said as he rushed over to the dinner table and began to eat. Once he had finished dinner, he rushed over to his bed and closed his eyes and began to sleep and dream. Unknown to him, he would meet someone very special that would change his life forever. Location change. Dream world, third-person POV. Izuku would open his eyes as he was on the floor of a strange place. He would soon get up as he looked all around, as he began to walk around. The floor and walls of the place looked like it was a chessboard, as it was a fusion of black, red, and purple tiles. It was covered from head to toe with mirrors all over the place, as it was absolutely gigantic compared to Izuku. Izuku would slowly look around the place, trying to figure out where he was. Izuku would then see someone in the far distance. It was hard to make out, but Izuku would waste no time as he began to run towards the strange figure in the distance. As Izuku was getting closer and closer, he started to make out more and more of the man. His smile soon turned into a look of absolute fear as he looked up at the man in question. The man turned around to look down at Izuku. As the man was a complete giant, his body was massive and incredibly intimidating, as he was way taller than All Might and looked way stronger. As the man was ripped, there were tattoos on the left side of his body, as he wore clothes that made him look like a biker gang member. This last notable feature was his hair and the black and furry scarf around his face, covering his mouth. Izuku was absolutely terrified by the giant man standing in front of him, as he shook nonstop and looked at his eyes in question. Who are you? Izuku said those words. The man replied as the same name that Izuku had heard from the afternoon. I am Charlotte Katakuri. With those words, Izuku's fear vanished, as he seemed awestruck at him. Katakuri said, Would you happen to be Izuku Midoriya? He said with a deep and calm voice. At that question, Izuku smiled and nodded his head, staring up at the giant human. You are huge! How'd you get so tall? Can I get that tall? Why are you covering your mouth? Izuku asked Katakuri non-stop questions as he wanted answers. What is this place? What is this place? Why are we here? Why? Izuku was silent as Katakuri had turned his Izuku was silenced as Katakuri's arm had turned into the same white liquid as Izuku's as earlier, as he shoved it right into Izuku's mouth. As Izuku looked up at Katakuri's arm, he pulled away and asked, What was that stuff? It looks exactly like my quirk. What is your quirk? Katakuri would look at Izuku confused, but then walked over to one of the mirrors on the wall. As he soon looked into it, he saw one of Izuku's memories. No, this is not a quirk. This is a devil fruit, child, he said as his arm turned back to normal. Katakuri would then sit down as he would then explain what a devil fruit is to Izuku. So when I ate that fruit, I gained your powers? Izuku asked Katakuri as he had finished the explanation about devil fruits. That is correct, but with it you can also do so much more. As he said, looking down to Izuku. Can I still become a hero? Izuku asked with a bit of hope in his voice. Yes, you can become a hero. With me, you can be even greater than All Might, Katakuri told the young Izuku as he looked down at him. Wait, how do you know about All Might? Deku asked, tilting his head to the side. I can see your memories through these mirrors in the world. Mirror world? Yes. Since you ate my devil fruit, I am a part of you now. I can see all your memories through all these mirrors. I have to ask, why? That word threw Izuku off a bit. Why what? Why do you let that Bakugo kid treat you like garbage and continue to be his friend? You even protected another kid your age that was being bullied by this Bakugo kid, and they all turned against you. Why do you let him do this to you? Katakuri pointed out and made Izuku think on why he let Bakugo treat him how he wanted to be treated. Izuku said nothing as he just looked up at Katakuri, wanting to change the subject. He asked another question. Can I really become a hero? He said, asking Katakuri, as he didn't want to talk about it. Yes, you can, but you will need to run away. As Katakuri said those words, Izuku looked up at him in horror. What? Why do I need to run away and leave my mom all alone? Katakuri soon spoke up. Let me explain then. If you stay at home with your mother, then you will be much weaker. You will never be able to become the number one. Besides, what I am going to teach you is very dangerous. If something goes wrong, your mother or someone else could get seriously hurt or killed, Katakuri told Izuku as he looked down at him. Izuku was at a complete loss for words, but he looked up at Katakuri with tears in his eyes. Where would I even go? And what would you teach me? He asked on the verge of tears. We would travel the world and I want to see what this new world has to offer. Besides, you have my powers, and I can teach you everything that I know and what you will need to know. And with these powers, and how to survive. You will make a name for yourself with my power, Midoriya. Katakuri told Izuku as he looked up at the ceiling of the mirror world. As he finished, the mirror world began to be filled with cracks along the walls, floors, and ceiling. It seems that you are about to wake up, young Midoriya. You can make a name for yourself for the world that will never forget. Those were the only words that Katakuri said before Izuku woke up from the dream world. Location change. Deku's room. Back in the real world, Izuku just woke up from the dream he had as he was still in his bed. The sun was up and was shining brightly as Katakuri's words were playing over and over in Izuku's mind. If I want to be even better than All Might, I would have to run away. Mom would be devastated. What should I do? Izuku said to himself as he got out of bed. Izuku was pondering on whether he should listen to what Katakuri said or find his own way. Those were the only thoughts as Izuku had finished getting ready and went to the kitchen to get some breakfast. I am only telling you this to run away, to protect your mother. If something were to go wrong, it could get a lot of people killed, and it could even end up you getting seriously hurt, Katakuri said from within Izuku's mind. Izuku would stop as he was surprised to hear Katakuri's talk, but wouldn't say anything as he made his way to the living room and sat down at the table. He began to eat his breakfast. Izuku said nothing as he ate, looking down at his food. Once Izuku had finished, he went back to his room. He walked into his closet and began to get all the supplies that he would need. I hope I'm making the right choice, Izuku said as he kept unpacking things he would need in order to survive when he ran away. As Izuku kept on packing, Katakuri helped out a lot, as he would tell Izuku on what he would need to pack and leave behind. The last thing Izuku packed as a small necklace with a medallion on it, as it held a picture of him and his mother inside. Once finished, Izuku would grab a pencil and paper and begin to write a note. He wanted to tell his mom before he left. As Izuku wrote the note, tears kept on going down his cheeks as he was crying. Once Izuku had finished making the note, he went to the bathroom and kept on crying until he stopped. His mother Inko tried to cheer him up throughout the morning, wanting to know why her son was crying. Izuku didn't tell her, as he knew that she would stop him if he told her something. As soon as Izuku saw the clock hit 12 p.m., he went to his room and grabbed his backpack and began to make his way to the front door. Izuku, where are you going? Inko asked, wondering where her son was going. Don't worry, Mom. I'm just going to Kachan's house to play with him, Izuku said as he opened the front door. Okay, Izuku, just play nice and be home before dinner, she says. She didn't know what his real plans were. Izuku had left the note on his bed, telling his mother on what had happened to him, and why he left home, and why he ran away. Time skip nighttime. Inko was on the phone with Mitsuki, worried why Izuku hasn't returned home. Inko was talking to Mitsuki on where Izuku was, but as the conversation went on, Inko began to panic. Mitsuki-chan, are you sure? Izuku said that he was going to play with Katsuki. Inko said in a panic. Inko-chan, it's like I told you, he never came over. Do you think something might have happened to him? Or is he just sleeping in his room? Mitsuki asked, trying her best to help out Inko. Once she said those words, Inko rushed to Izuku's room and saw a note on his bed. Mitsuki, I found a note, Inko said as she opened it up and began to read it. As soon as she read it, more and more tears went down her cheeks as she realized what had happened. On the note, it said, Mom, I'm sorry, but I can't stay here. I'm sick and tired of all the bullying that Kachan and his friends put me through just because I'm quirkless. That is why I'm running away, so I can become stronger and help others who are just like me. I know if I stayed home, I would just end up getting you hurt, other people telling me to stop and to give up, or one of the heroes telling me on what a waste of time I am. I'm going to change this world for the better, but I can't be doing it stuck here at home. I know if I told you something, you would try to stop me. Seeing you get hurt because of me is the very last thing I want to happen to you. I hope that one day in the future that we can meet again. I love you, Mom, and I always will. Signed by your loving son, Izuku Midoriya. Inko soon dropped the phone as she began to tear up. My son ran away! Inko, is everything okay? Mitsuki asked over the phone, but she didn't get a reply. Inko ran to the door and opened it as she screamed as loud as she could into the night sky. Izuku! Walking away from the city, a boy with green hair turned around as he heard his mother's voice, calling his name to the night sky. He looked away from the city as he kept on walking, with tears going down his eyes, as he had a bag full of survival gear, food, water, first aid, and a dream, and a goal to change his future. As he continued to walk and leave the city. End of the chapter. Alright, I hope you guys liked my first chapter of What If Deku Was the Yannko Mochi. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below, and have a great day.